Welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or later on YouTube, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, paying off his pick'em loss. There he is. It's Groundhog Starters Steve.
Heyo!
Heyo! Stevie-O, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, we can all agree that Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches in the NBA. And last night, we found out why. According to Mavs.com writer Bobby Karalla, Wesley Matthews said during a second quarter timeout, Rick Carlisle literally drew a reset button and Seth Curry literally pushed it, launched a Mavs run. Like on the dry erase board, Carlisle drew a circle with reset inside it. That really did happen. Brilliant stuff. Makes me wish I had my own reset button for last month, but it brings us to today's question. What situation makes you want to press the reset button? And it's an easy one for me besides losing this, of course. Going back to the 2012 playoffs, I want to hit the reset button on Derrick Rose's first injury.
No.
Still remember the day watching with Skeets, my buddy Grish, and his buddy Dub. This was the beginning of the end for the Bulls. We're still feeling the effects of this injury. If only we had a reset button. Maybe he could have been Russell Westbrook. Who knows? Anyways, we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter what situation makes you want to press the reset button. Send us your best tweets to #TheStarters, and I'll try and look at this computer screen.
All right, yeah, you seem to be struggling a little bit there.
Get this man.
Yeah, they told me visibility was about 20%. When you include the fog and humidity in here, it's more about 5.
Okay, well, soldier
looks
on.
good.
Soldier on, man. That's what happens when you lose the pick'em contest. All right, we got a fun show, obviously. Groundhog Steve there is going to give us an NBA quiz. Everyone can play along at home with that. And we got a brand new edition of the meme team. But we start with a little what you got. Starters Steve will present us with some similar topics from the NBA world. We got to determine the better choice. The catch, there's only one right answer, and that is whatever the groundhog thinks it is. Steve.
All right, thanks to another huge fourth quarter from Isaiah Thomas, the Boston Celtics knocked off the Toronto Raptors last night, pushing them a game and a half ahead in the race for the second seed, or possibly even the first? I don't know. Anyways, who's the second best team in the Eastern Conference? The Celtics or the Raptors? What you got?
It's the Raptors, Steve. If the Celtics weren't going to beat the Raptors last night, when were they going to beat them? DeMar DeRozan is out, the first option, as Mr. Steve calls him. The Celtics were 0-2 against the Raptors this season. And the Raptors were on the second night of a back-to-back,
Right.
which they struggle on. Of course the Celtics were going to get one win against the Raps this season. They're still the best team besides the Cavs in the Eastern Conference.
Wow.
I think it's the Celtics. It really is. Avery Bradley wasn't playing last night as well, so that sort of nullifies the DeRozan not playing there.
Come on.
Avery
DeMar is
Bradley's-
more important to that team.
Avery's a
And
brilliant defender. He's an all-NBA defensive
But
player.
DeMar's more important to
But
that
look,
team.
over the last month or so,
Yeah,
the Boston Celtics have been probably the second best team in the NBA, but other than the Golden State Warriors. Since Isaiah Thomas came back from that injury, he's been incredible. He's forcing himself into the MVP conversation right now. I mean, the way he's been playing has been incredible. And the concern for me with the Raptors, when DeRozan went out and he's missed 5 games, they're 2-3, that gives an opportunity for some of those other guys, Patterson, Ross, Carroll, to step up and show that the Raptors aren't too top-heavy with Lowry and DeRozan. A little concerned that they do seem to be playing that way right now.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah, again, another unbelievable fourth quarter performance, and he is making sort of the unbelievable become very routine.
Yeah.
Which is wild for a guy of his size to just take over games.
Yeah, literally a ho-hum 44-point night.
I know, you're right.
I love the way he just burrows down into the lane.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I was waiting for a groundhog
Leave it to
punt.
Beaver for that
Yeah,
pun.
excellent. Is he a beaver? Is he a woodchuck? We're not sure.
I don't know. I love Jerry Mathers. I just wanted to say that.
Exactly. I'm torn on this one because there's no doubt you can't argue that the Celtics have been playing better basketball lately than the Raptors.
No, that's
because
100%
the Raptors
true.
have not been great since the new year, of course. So in a way, I do sort of, I'd love to see these two teams meet in the playoffs.
They
That's for
probably
sure,
will.
because last night, back and forth between Lowry in that fourth and Isaiah Thomas in the fourth, that was entertaining basketball. The Raptors had their chances. There were open looks, especially when it came to Patrick Patterson late in that game. They got good looks. He wasn't knocking them down, and he
it's not just
struggled in
last
the crunch.
night.
I know. That's
the thing. And same with Damari Carroll, and same with Terrence Ross. We know is having a really good season, but he still has those games where he just
yesterday was
goes
bad.
where he goes missing, and he needs to be better than that at this stage of his career.
I just don't think the Raptors are bad as they're showing right now, but I do agree they're just so dependent on Lowry and DeRozan, and it shows because yesterday was second night of a back-to-back. They're 3-7 in the second night of back-to-backs, and that just says to me these guys are tired, and the guys who are tired are the guys who carry the team. And
Yeah.
Lowry and
Yeah.
DeBozan primarily, we saw it a couple of years ago when Lowry went into the postseason. Where did he go? I mean, he just wasn't himself, and I'm worried when they do get to that postseason if they've relied upon them a little bit too much.
That's right. The legs
Yeah.
get too heavy.
All right, well, Celtics, Raptors. Let's go to starter Steve. What is the answer?
Well, I think it's got to be the Raptors. They're still 2-1 against the Celtics, and as a human-animal hybrid, I got to stick with the other human-animal
Fair,
hybrids.
fair.
Definitely the Raptors. But moving on, huge night for the Curry family last night. Steph went for 39 points on the strength of 11 three-pointers. Seth had 22 points, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a Mavs win. And Big Papa Dell went 1 for 1 from 3 after banking home a bomb after Steph challenged him in pregame. What was the best Curry performance? Steph, Seth, or Dell? What you got?
Del Curry, for sure.
Oh,
No,
that was a
come
bank.
on.
He
He
didn't
banked
call
it
that.
home.
He was
didn't-
wearing a suit.
He banked it
How
home.
far out was he?
He was far.
Do you know how high-
He was far. He got
49,
lucky.
49 feet.
Hey, he knocked that out. How old is he? How far out is he? He got challenged and he answered. He had one shot and
It's
he nailed
true.
it. He banked it in. Perfect. Dell, easy. Lock it in.
I mean,
Look at this.
It is unbelievable, and I love that Steph's reaction to it. Oh, he can't believe
look
it.
at Dell's reaction. He's like, yeah.
I think it's Seth Curry. Out of these, yes, I think it's Seth. It's not Steph. I mean, Steph did what he's done for the last 3 years, basically.
Yeah.
He went bonkers. He hit a bunch of threes. The Warriors ran away with it. He didn't play in the fourth. Seth Curry is on his 5th team in 4 years, and since he's gone into the starting lineup, when Rick Carlisle put him into the starting lineup, the Mavs are 8-3.
Yeah,
he's
been
averaging
awesome.
16 points per game on 50% shooting, 47.5% from three. Him and Yogi there are like the new Mavs backcourt. I got to go with Seth Curry as the better performance of the Curry clan.
Yeah, I want to stick with that because you got to throw him a little bit of a bone here.
Sure.
Seth Curry needs some love here. And hey, Steph took some time to develop in this league. Not really, but sort of. And maybe Seth is sort of finding his mark in this
Yeah.
league. But it's sort of like Isaiah Thomas with Steph Curry. Whatever, 39-point night, shooting
11
70%
threes.
from the floor, 11 three-pointers.
I know.
Literally 11 three-pointers.
Yeah, it's really like Groundhog Day. It just keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah, you're right. It's
in,
wild.
in
It's
30
wild.
minutes, 8 assists to 1 turnover. The only thing with Seth is 6 assists to 3 turnovers. We can improve on that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
so
way.
it's Dell then. It's Dell. I mean, you guys are.
You're just going with Dell because he's older, and you're the oldest of this.
Hey,
older.
listen, if it wasn't for Dell, we wouldn't see Steph or Seth. So.
Look at that's a good fair
Great
point.
point.
Fair point. Steph Curry,
Shout out to Sonya, okay?
yeah, has moved into 12th place on the all-time three-pointers made list. That's bonkers. I mean,
he's going to be top 10 by the end of the season.
Yeah, he's going
easily.
to catch probably Kobe and Billups there, and Joe Johnson's still playing as well at number 9.
8th
Wild
career
stuff.
game with 10-plus threes. It's 83s at least in 8 games. It's just a wild
All right,
ride.
we're torn on this one as to which Curry had the better night. Starter Steve, what's the answer?
Oh, it's got to be Dell for sure. Like
Yes.
we said, he had one shot, tons of pressure from way far. He was wearing a suit, operating in a suit. Let me tell you,
No.
not easy.
Nice.
Moving on.
He wasn't sweating as much as you, I'm sure.
I bet he was. Couple of slick highlights in the league last night. In Phoenix, Blake Griffin whipped a high-speed between-the-legs dime to a cutting J.J. Redick for a layup, and in Cleveland, LeBron James spun in a reverse layup that was so saucy, even he was impressed that he made it. What was the crazier play? Blake's pass or LeBron's circus shot? What you got?
This is Blake's pass.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I love the LeBron play. I love that he's a little shocked himself. But Blake's pass, as a power forward, going behind his back, between his legs, hitting a cutting teammate perfectly in stride, and then the nice
Yeah,
finish.
that's the one
from
you
Redick as
don't
well.
often see, the between the legs from behind.
Like, it's almost hilarious because it seems totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Which is why it's crazier to me.
Yeah, but he kind of had it low, and I guess that was the quickest way to get it there.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
he was about to go behind his back, and then he saw Redick cutting, and you're right. He was like, well, they got the open lane. I'll just zip it in there.
One thing I'll say about LeBron, though, is it takes a lot for himself to get surprised by something
That's
that he
true,
does.
yes.
True.
You know, because he's done everything in the league. He's had some of the most amazing dunks and plays and moves. So when he goes in like that and he flips the ball up like that, it's like, wow, I've never even done that myself before.
Right, he
So,
shocked himself,
yeah,
which
yeah.
can't be easy to do.
No, so, and you know, I mean, he carries himself all the way through. Look where he takes off from and look where he finishes.
You want to know a good way to shock yourself? Put a toaster in a bathtub.
That joke got the biggest laugh from the crowd.
A lot of Groundhog Day fans
So
around
you're
here.
going Blake.
I'll go Blake, sure.
You're going Blake.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
Blake
I
because
just wanna make sure.
we knew as soon as the calendar turned to February, LeBron was going to be good again.
Right.
So it's Blake.
Okay, what's the answer though? Groundhog starter Steve?
Oh, it's gotta be the Blake
All
Press.
right, all
Anytime
right.
you can go from the Groundhog's burrow, that's gonna get you a win.
All right, great stuff. We got lots more still to come with our furry friend over there. When we come back, he's going to quiz us on our repeat basketball knowledge in the NBA Groundhog game. Yeah, this should be fun. Don't go anywhere. Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or later on YouTube, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lele.
Lele, and last, certainly not least, paying off his pick'em loss, it's Groundhog starter Steve.
Ayo!
Hey-o! Steve, you got a little bit of a game for us.
Yeah, well, we all know that Groundhog Day is all about repeating, so let me introduce you a new game that's all about repeating. It's the NBA Groundhog Game. I'm gonna ask each of you one question from 3 different categories. The winner gets to spend the winter in my burrow while we share a plate of alfalfa sprouts. Sounds great, doesn't it? Our
Can't
first
wait.
category is repeat winners, which will be players who have won any sort of award, dunk contest, three-point contest in consecutive years. Skeets, the first question is yours.
Okay.
Name 3 of the 4 slam dunk champions who won back-to-back dunk titles. 4 in history. I need 3.
Zach LaVine,
Correct.
Nate Robinson,
Correct.
Jason Richardson.
That's right.
Yes.
Nice.
Whoa,
That's
I wasn't
right.
sure with Jay Rich there
Want
for
to
a
throw in
second.
the 4th for good measure? He's a pretty famous guy.
Always
You
say
always
his
go
name.
Jordan.
Always
Any
go
trivia
Always go
question.
Jordan. Yeah, you should always go Jordan.
Not
That's all
bad.
right.
Moving on. Tassie,
Here we go.
who are the only 2 NBA players to win back-to-back MVPs more than once?
Back to
That's
back.
one finger. More than once.
More than once. Wilt?
Wilt Chamberlain never did it.
Well, then I'm wrong.
You're wrong. LeBron
MJ?
James, 29
yeah.
and 2010, 2012 and 2013, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 71, 72, and 76, 77.
Oh.
Pretty tough one. Lily. This 2-time three-point champion is the only player to win consecutive three-point contests in non-consecutive years.
Man.
Consecutive three-point
Back-to-back
contest.
three-point contests, but not back-to-back years. How is it possible, you might ask?
Yeah, how is that?
Think about it. Can I help him out?
Oh, you can help me
Yeah,
out.
we
It's all
had- we
about
had
friendship.
All-star. All-star.
We had the lockout.
Ah,
There's no
gone.
all-star.
ah,
I think, well, you take a guess. If he was a rhinoceros, he would have probably a horn on his head.
oh, Jeff Hornacek.
I think
That's
right.
exactly right. Great hint.
Wow, that's a great one.
I don't know why I gave you that.
Yeah, I know. Oh
It's
man,
really strange. I'm sorry.
do you need help over there?
I mean, our next category is definitely alliterative names, but I can't get to my next card. There we
There we
are.
go.
Next category, alliterative names. The names will start with the same first letter. First and last name starting with the first letter. Skeets, you're first. This former player is the only alliterative name to appear in both the slam dunk and three-point contests. He's a pretty good dancer, too.
Yeah, it's got to be Bones. Brett
That's
Berry.
right.
Yeah.
Brett
yeah.
Bones Berry,
Good one.
salad head himself. Very nice. Skeets, 2 for 2. I'm impressed.
all right.
All right, Tass. The 2015-16 Toronto Raptors were the rare team to feature 4 alliterative names on their roster. I need you to name 3 of them.
DeMar DeRozan.
There you go.
Patrick Patterson.
There you go.
Ooh,
Wow.
who is a third?
Could
What?
it be?
What you had? 2015-16?
Last season.
I know.
15-16.
You want help?
Not yet.
Might-
Oh, Bruno Caboclo?
No.
Sorry, that's not an alliterative name.
He's not with the team anymore.
That's right. They're both not with the team anymore. Bismack Biyombo and James Johnson are the other 2.
Johnson? Oh,
Lily.
Yeah, all right, come on.
This former player and current broadcaster isn't just an alliteration. He's also the first name in the NBA record books At least if you're sorting alphabetically.
Ala Abdul Nabi.
That's right, my man! Hold on, I think I have the final card.
All right.
Our final category, consecutive champions, and all the answers will be teams that won at least repeat titles. Simply repeats. Repeats, three-peats, however many peats.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. This franchise is the only one in league history to win consecutive championships in more than one state.
Lakers.
That's exactly right.
Minneapolis and LA.
Yeah.
The Los
Whoa.
Angeles and Minneapolis Lakers. Not a lot of groundhogs in that state, I don't think. Tess, what are the last 3 teams to pull off repeat championships?
The Lakers,
Confirmed.
the Heatles,
Confirmed.
and prior to that, it's the Lakers again.
That's
Yeah.
right!
Good question.
Good one,
I
yeah.
would have almost accepted the Chicago Bulls, but you nailed it, my man. Final question, Lee.
Okay.
Which team's only titles in franchise history came in back-to-back years?
Oh, Lee, come on. Come on, Lee.
Some of your favorite teams,
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You love them.
When we
You
open
love
up
them. You're like,
cards.
they got a great logo.
Houston Rockets.
That's right. Houston Rockets. I don't know who won. I can't keep track.
I think
But
I
you're
did
all
too.
invited to the borough. We got alfalfa for days.
All right. Yeah,
Oh,
get
yeah.
down, Starter Steve.
Oh, that's what it's all about.
I like to think Richard Gere was flipping through the channels and was like, ooh, I'm into that. Quick break, but after the jump, Steph Curry slides right into a brand new edition of the Meme Team. Slides. Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to the Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or later on YouTube, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lele.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, paying off his pick'em loss. Over there, it's Groundhog Starter Steve.
Hey-oh!
Hey-o! Every Thursday, guys, we scour the internet to bring you a brand new edition of the Meme Team. Our favorite weird or wacky moments from the past 7 days. Let's do this.
At number 5, there was reason for celebration for Steph Curry because he buried a huge 3. Yeah, Draymond, let's do this.
Oh.
Unfortunately, he didn't stick the landing, and that's when the internet jumped on it. Yeah.
Slip and slide.
Slip slide is awesome. That is really well done. The Superman, I like that, but let's keep with that theme. Yeah, Peter Pan, that's the best
that's a
one.
good
That's
one.
real,
Really
real
is the
good.
boy who never grew up.
At number 4, from our good friends over at NBA Reddit, comes this unbelievable collection of Cavs forward Tristan Thompson not knowing what to do with his hands, like he was Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights.
I feel you, Tristan. It's tough sometimes.
What do
to
you
know.
do? Do you put them in your
Yeah, I know.
pockets?
Impossible
Do you
to
hold
know.
them up?
Yeah.
Just gotta
It's
look.
tough. At number 3, after a big performance versus the Nuggets, Nick Young didn't take the credit. He gave it to a man by the name of Shout Out.
Shout out to my man D'Angelo Russell. Shout out to New Edition movie. Shout out to Lou Will. Shout out to D'Angelo Russell. Shout out to Most Hated .LA. Shout out to Zubak. Shout out to JC. Shout out to Dame. Shout out to the whole Lakers squad today. Shout out to D-Lo.
Apparently we missed this the first time around, but remember that catchy tune about pens and fruit? Yeah, the Mavs and Dirk Nowitzki had some fun with
I
it.
have a pen, I have an apple, apple pen. I have a pen, I have pineapple, pineapple pen, apple pen, pineapple pen, pen, pineapple, apple pen.
Still catchy.
And at number 1, after LeBron told media Cavs needed help, well, Barkley said LeBron should stop complaining. But that put LeBron into a place where he just said, hey, what gives with Barkley? What gives him the right? I will not bite my tongue. I am the new sheriff. I'm the new, there's a new sheriff in town. That's when the hats started flowing.
Hats are flowing.
The whole outfit, Skeets put on the hat.
I made the meme team.
Yeah, you made
Wow.
it. And then LeBron
yeah.
showed up in an outfit that looked very much like
Give
a
him a
sheriff.
buckle and a star.
There it is. Brand new edition of the meme team. After the break, Lili's very solid play. Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or later on YouTube, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, paying off his pick'em loss, it's Groundhog starter Steve. Hey, all right, Stevie-O, let's see if you can see that shadow, buddy.
All right, let's head on outside.
Oh, this is
See what
exciting.
we can see a lot of visibility. Bit of a gloomy day out here.
Take it easy,
Careful,
Steve.
Steve.
I'm not feeling good about this shadow.
Oh,
Well, I don't see my shadow,
Ah.
so that means 6 more months of NBA basketball.
See you soon, Summer League.
Good job.
way to go, Stevie!
yeah.
Steve!
You did it again, Steven.
All right, to tonight's picks. It's the Warriors and Clips, the second game on TNT. We all got the dubs, no shock there. Lily, where are we going for your very solid play?
6 more months of very solid play, guys, and we're heading out to Utah for this beautiful one. Little tic-tac-toe from the
nice.
Milwaukee Bucks. Here it is again. Malcolm Brogdon, the Jet. The Jet's still got some jet. Look at that for a nice finish. That's what I call a very solid play.
All right. We got ourselves a trade, gentlemen. Today, ESPN reporting that the Bucks have reached an agreement in principle to trade Miles Plumlee to the Charlotte Hornets for Roy Hibbert and Spencer Hawes. We're going to break down that major deal on tomorrow's Drop podcast. We'll also talk about the All-Star participants that will be announced later tonight on TNT. So check that out, iTunes, Google Play, we'll get it up on the blog. But that's it for us tonight. TNT, as I said, the doubleheader, it's Hawks and the Rockets, followed by the Warriors and Clips. And again, announcing all the All-Star participants before those games get underway. Can't wait for that.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this fabulous, fabulous day. And remember, the groundhog is also known as the woodchuck and the whistle pig.
Where's he going?
He can't see.
He's going
He
home.
probably thinks he's coming back in the studio.
Is that where he lives?
Steve-O.
That's a rental, isn't it? That's going to cost us. Embrace the knife, people.